Так, все работаем. Где у нас Стэнли? Где у нас ёбаный Стэнли? Где у нас ёбаный Стэнли? Вот. Надеюсь, там все-таки есть сейвы, потому что если там сейвов нет, и мне сейчас придется сначала все делать. Ой. Я, наверное, на этом закончу. Нет, чуваки, я не буду. Я очень люблю полночь. И полдень люблю. О, боже мой, серьезно? Да, Зимник, спокойной ночи. Спасибо, что приходил. Да, минуешь спойлеры Stanley Parable. Вот, это нечестно, идите в жопу. Это как так вообще можно? Ничего себе, тут реально что-то будет интересное, если я вернусь. Забавно. Я такой... Блин, я что, с самого начала начинаю, что ли?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps.
Ну, я надеюсь, все-таки сохранилось. Вот это мое DLC. Да, фу.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Так. Мне главное вспомнить, какой финал мне не нужен. А я, блин, уже все забыл.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original
не попасться на тот этот трюк, когда Стэнли будет с ума сходить. Потому что это, это будет очень долго. Мне нужно сразу в этот музей попасть.
One step even further, which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Все где надо, замечательно. Ну, то есть, да, они все засчитали.
Isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why there are so many possibilities? It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it.
О, боже мой, да, сейчас сделаю. Да, Крн 9. Найн, Кракер 9. Крайне. Да, простите, очень странно ник. Ну ладно, наверное, пусть пока в этой категории. В принципе, я сейчас закончу уже почти, я думаю. В игре очень недолго осталось. Я на прошлом стриме в нее играл уже. И почти все концовки получил. Ну, какие? Почти все, да. Процентов 20, наверное. А вот тут не бродил еще. И я в Симпсонах только что играл, собственно, там это, да, закончил с ними. Да, но забыл поменять категорию.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket,
да, сначала прыжок дали, теперь ведро. Упокоение. Замечательно.
As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting.
все лучше и
You may
лучше.
even come to long for the gentle
Но вообще,
embrace
конечно,
of jarring
Stanley Parable
cognitive
это
dissonance while the
слишком
bucket is in
интимный
your
экспириенс,
arms.
наверное,
And to
да.
be honest,
Стримить его
it's a
такая
much more
затея.
convenient solution for me than actually redesigning
Да,
the
спокойной
game
ночи.
to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it?
Такой добрый
The
смех.
glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through
Так,
your
а что с
body.
ведром
And
еще
in
можно делать?
fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of
Просто
charisma
ходить,
as
можно на
well.
голову надеть,
I
наверное.
think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person.
Я не сомневался. Сегодня
The
мусор
benefits of the
выкидывал.
bucket seem to go on and on.
Чувствовал себя
don't they?
альфа-самцом.
All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
И все, в принципе, да? Ну, это было неплохо. Так, а можно ли ведро где-нибудь оставить? Нет?
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Бля, я хочу эту футболку. Я видел новый контент. Пожалуйста, дайте мне это. Да, мне
Okay,
как-то
I'll be
неловко
honest, I
видеть
haven't yet
Стэнли
decided on this one.
лицо.
I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
О, выбор. Давайте Get Well Someday там.
You know, sometimes when you
Ироничнее.
solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy
сука.
12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
Вот, блядь, подонок. Я до сих пор с ведром, на всякий случай.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No. No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Да, мне что-то вступил с категорией. Вообще, редко 2 игры за раз стримлю.
Stanley, here's an idea
Так, ну
that
там
I'm
были.
truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall
Время
down
уже
forever. That's right.
порезвились.
Infinite falling. You can
Осталось-
fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap
О, боже.
forward for video games as a
Ну,
medium.
наконец-то.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle
Да,
back
да,
for
да,
Stanley
пожалуйста.
Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
То есть я все не могу прыгать? Серьезно? Охереть. Вот это, конечно, Free New Easy Achievement. It just works. О, боже мой. Да что-то вспоминаю
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much
наши
catchier than
игражуров,
Ultra Deluxe, don't you
многоуважаемых,
think? Ultra Deluxe.
с одного
What does it even mean?
интересного сайта,
But the Stanley Parable
где
2. Now that's an
в качестве
artistic
плюсов
statement
игры
right there.
писали
It's future-oriented.
от
It screams
легкие ачивасы.
progress
Нет,
and
легкие чивасы.
innovation
Вот.
and
Чивасы.
long-term franchising potential.
Мало того, что они ачивменты называют чивасами, так еще и
Oh,
легкие
goodness,
чивасы, о, боже мой.
Stanley, this is fairly awkward. I hate to do this, but before you leave, you really should go to the collectibles exhibit. You see, there is a surprise I was going to spring on you later, and it involves the collectibles. And I really do hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you go see the collectibles, okay? All right, I'll get out of your hair now.
То есть мне нужно набрать всякий мусор, но у меня же есть ведро. Все, пускают.
No? You're just going to ignore my advice? Fine. No fun new content for you, then. You're the one who spent money on this game. So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game.
Блин, зря, конечно, пошел,
I
нужно
can
было
feel it in my
послушать.
soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is.
Я готов.
I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Так, ведро вижу, шарики вижу. Яму вижу.
Well, I mean, there's potential
Прыжки
here,
вижу.
right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind.
Статуэтка
Hold on,
ачивмент,
let me do a
наверное.
different arrangement. Okay, yes.
Ну,
This
игра
is
уже стала
much
основательнее
better. I
гораздо.
feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley?
Похоже на
This
типичный
isn't a
уровень
coherent
из
video game at all. It's a lot of
Fortnite.
gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first
бич-пакет
game.
нужно
I
заводить.
wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't
бич-пакета.
stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it.
Ну, в принципе, логично, да.
With respect, with care for the
Зачем
vision
ломать то,
and
что
integrity of the
сломано?
original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could, but it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold
Не,
and
ну отлично, совершенно
uncompromising
просто действительно
conviction,
творческие муки
this is the Stanley
создателя
Parable
Стэнли
2.
о том, почему, собственно,
Let me see if I can
почему он
put something up.
Stanley Parable Ультра Делюкс именно то, чем является.
Perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Нихуя себе, серьезно? 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 Че, серьезно? Это не шутка? Это реально вторая часть? Меня не наебали?
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Я что-то не верю.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Они сюда просто добавили ведер, прыжков и этих
He sat at his
шариков, да?
desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the
А
orders
чем, конечно,
as though he had been made
неожиданно.
exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the
Когда в
monitor
ролике
for him
показывали
to
монитор, в
follow.
мониторе было
No one had
разрешение
showed
куда
up
выше.
to give him instructions,
А тут, блядь,
call a meeting,
собственно, два
or
символа
even say
занимают
hi.
8-ю часть
Never in
экрана.
all his years at the company had this happened. This
Гонда.
complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong.
То есть я подозреваю, что если они
Shocked,
действительно решили
frozen solid,
угорнуть,
Stanley
то
found
есть я смогу
himself
прыгать,
unable to
я
move for the
смогу
longest
это
time.
использовать
But
ведро,
as he came to his wits and regained his senses,
но
he got up from his
в
desk
то же
and
время
stepped out of his
ничего
office.
практически не изменится. Ну, может, не знаю, 1-2 концовки новых будет. И да, блядь, я зря, конечно, полностью там не посмотрел.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Да, кот, добрый вечер. Да, именно так.
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it? Stanley picked up the bucket.
Ладно, мы там были уже. Обойдемся.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Ладно, с ведром, конечно, гениальная шутка. Ладно, пройду
Still,
туда
no
на...
one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was
Oh,
where
Боже
he'd
мой.
find answers.
О боже, это же они реально, да, добавили ведро. И изменили там весь текст под него.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Это гениальнейшее. Это уже было. Это что такое? Это Россия, что ли? Да, немного на Питер похоже. Или на Нарьян-Мар. Ну, в принципе, одного масштаба города.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable.
Я надеюсь, есть этот фанат, в том числе эротический, про Стэнли и Ведро. Потому что они этого заслужили. Блять.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Так, а там что есть? Нет, ничего нет. Блин, жаль, что я, конечно, другие функции не проверил, когда мне объясняли, что тут будет. Блин, я только про ведро, про яму узнал, что-то еще. Блин.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him,
серьезно, это именно то, что я думаю. И Stanley Parable 2, это Stanley Parable 1 с ведром, то это гениально, это просто гениально, блин. Это работа гения.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Скоро закончу, конечно. Ну ладно, эту развязку смотрю. После этого иду как раз в новый контент, и я тут проверю другие вот эти вещи, что показывали.
And Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Да, это, конечно, лучшая романтика года.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Боже мой. Мне казалось, что мы вниз спускались, а нет, наверх все-таки.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. for he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way.
Really cool way.
Sassy comment about taking down the system.
Господи, это гениально. Да, вспоминаю, как я тут 2 раза одну кнопку нажал, одну и ту же. Это было очень весело. Я потратил всего лишь 5 минут.
They came to the source of the room's power. Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything.
Киллер, он Рэнджел, добрый вечер. Замечательно.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness.
Правда, я, конечно, не ожидал, что да, контента в Stanley Parable будет больше, чем я думал, и я за этот слив, видимо, не успею собрать все, что хотел.
Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away.
Так, вот интересно, они концовки хоть как-то изменят, или все будет просто крутиться вокруг ведра?
The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every
Да, очень классно. Ну, то есть я подозревал, что тут будет много контента. Но, блин, да, его еще больше, чем я думал.
And begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together.
И как-то чересчур сблизились, конечно. Я шутил про Дадзинси о Стэнли и Ведре, но походу...
Wait, what was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
Ничего себе.
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket.
Боже мой, потрясающе.
Not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms, not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room, but at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I?
Блин, наверное,
Stanley gulped.
Попробую сейчас вариант с непослушанием тотальным сделать. И ведром. Да, это, конечно, это было замечательно. Хотя, ну, можно, наверное... Ну ладно, действительно, попробую концовку взять. Другую с ведром. Проверю, хоть чем отличаются. Ну, так. Где ведро? Ведром здесь... Я надеюсь, я не пропустил ведро. Потому что без ведра это как без рук. По-моему, я пропустил ведро. Бля, я ведро пропустил. Я реально пропустил ведро.
Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions.
Да. Блин, обидно. Слишком торопился. А прыгнуть, когда ты на подъемнике будешь подниматься? Это там, где можно, это кажется, в Rocket League сыграть.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting.
Не, ну гениальная работа, конечно. То есть это как еще игру и без того идеальную, да, улучшить.
Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting.
Да, спасибо. Ну попробую, да.
No,
said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
То есть рассказчик теперь говорит за ведро.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Так, сверху, кажется, это концовка с женой. Ну, давайте, наверное, попробуем концовку с женой. Ну да, ладно, попробуй тогда сейчас вон туда сходить. После этого.
In
упал.
here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Да, попробую поверить, что это ведро. Хотя, возможно, в каком-то финале оно действительно будет независимо мыслящим.
Now pick up the phone, said the bucket.
Так,
Pick up
блядь.
the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Ну, давайте попробуем. Был соблазн, конечно, штепсель вытащить из розетки.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and
Боже
his
мой.
bucket.
Тут сейчас не жена
Once
выйдет,
upon
не
a
манекен
time,
жены, а
I
ведро,
gave
да?
Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely
боже
and could
мой.
use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Ни хера себе. Они, кажется, дом полностью сделали новый.
The Stanley Parable reassurance bucket was merely meant to provide the
Да,
comforting glow
я
of
вытаскивал в основной,
companionship. It
в
doesn't
основной
literally
игре, да.
talk and
В этой
give
не
orders.
пытался.
Whatever Stanley is
Интересно,
hearing
что
the
там
bucket say to him is just in his head.
Ну, бля, они, конечно,
I'd
гениально
be
тоже, да.
concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well?
Изменили вот
To
это,
see him
это финал
delusional
с
like
фейковой
this,
женой на вот
obsessing over an
это.
inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Не, ну человек, главное, что счастлив, зачем, да.
Stanley, can you
Зачем
hear
мешать
me?
ему?
Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think. It can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one
да, серьезно,
location
кот, да,
to a
пропустил,
different
охеренно.
location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else. You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket.
Боже мой,
You know,
это...
once upon a time, it was me he took orders from. Me he
Это
trusted and
любовный
listened to.
треугольник, да,
Now
Стэнли,
all he cares
рассказчик
about
и
is this
ведро.
awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Да, да. О боже мой, это что это? Это какой-то, блядь, наряд для ведра? Да, шиншилловая шуба.
Sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket.
Да, да, и фанфик
Well,
писать,
give
и
it this.
дадзинси
Bucket does have a
рисовать,
nice shine to it.
и эроге делать. Так, а где ведро? Я пропустил что-то. Он спиздил ведро мое, что ли? Или я что-то ступил? Где мое ведро? Верните мне мое ведро. Суки, где мое ведро? Что-то мне как-то тревожно без ведра. На компе? Господи, блядь, Иисусе. Да.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection.
Мне очень тогда сложно...
Doesn't quite look like your average
Ёбаный
hardware
таракан,
store
вы чё
bucket.
охуели? Какой таракан? Блядь, он на мне. Сука,
Trying to
сдохни.
say.
Пиздец.
Sturdier.
Неделю
More
тараканов не
capable
видел.
of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Не, ну у меня просто, да, у меня год назад был, нет, по-моему, 2 года назад был трындец полный, у меня тут от соседей алкашей. Ползли тараканы просто армиями, блядь. Я их по 100 штук в день убивал, потом дыры заделал, и все, в принципе, стало замечательно. Но сейчас, блядь, что-то раз в неделю появляется таракан другой.
Better at carrying
Мне от
water
этого,
from
конечно,
room
очень
to room. It's a
неудобно.
bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so
впрочем,
much
это
more than
очень
just a
грустная
regular
история.
bucket?
Еще более грустная история у меня разошла про меня и мышь. Да, да, ну это уже как... на другой случай.
I'm having feelings for the bucket. No.
О, боже
What's
мой,
going
серьезно,
on?
рассказчик?
Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has
боже
to
мой,
say.
о, боже
Do
мой,
anything it
это
asks. What's
потрясающе.
wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
Ну ладно, это гениально.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it, or I'll...
О боже мой, это потрясающе. То есть он реально, собственно, там это создал интимную атмосферу и, да, и ждал, видимо, что это, да, ждал секса с ведром. Так, а где ведро?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
О, нихера себе. У меня, ну не у меня в подъезде, в другом подъезде там эти соседи какую-то, по-моему, щуку в унитаз спустили. И, разумеется, там все, да, не работало во всем доме, блядь. Редкостные молодцы. Так, давайте попробую финал, где я... Ну, не финал, а это... прыжок с транспортером.
Telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left
вот какое
to go
окно?
back to the meeting room.
Я вот сейчас вот на этой херне.
Don't go to the meeting
Ну,
room.
направо
Go
прыгну.
somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
В
Good.
общем, да, сейчас еще два финала и
Now
закончим
ride the
сегодня.
lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose
Я
not
вообще не
to think
разобьюсь,
about
там
this
как-то
obvious fact.
высоковато.
He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Danger everywhere.
No, stop. Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences
Так,
on
и
the
меня сейчас будут
entire
отделять
rest
от
of the
ведра.
game, if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Так, то есть они, походу, полностью переделали ту концовку. Или я что-то плохо помню. Ну, о боже мой.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios,
Да, походу,
and
переделали.
you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about
Так,
what
ожидаю
is
тут эпика.
or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
О боже мой.
Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Ну, тут, разумеется, будет, видимо, разные концовки в зависимости от того, как отвечать. Ну, давайте, пойду.
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct.
Ничего себе,
This
угадал.
is a bucket.
Неожиданно.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Да, этот вот трактор очень похож на тот трактор, в котором этот сидел этот дизраптор. Там этот фанатский скин был. Дизраптор на тракторе.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
Хотя тот трактор, кажется, без крыши был.
Is this a bucket?
Не, ну, разумеется, это трактор. О боже мой.
This is a bucket.
Замечательно.
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Не, слушайте, а может мне нужно смотреть
Item...
вот...
Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here
Я
somewhere.
думал, что может мне нужно за кулис, например, пробраться, я там бы смотрел, действительно это ведро или нет.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight,
Да, ведро
Stanley.
это ничто
Do
и
you
всё.
believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I
Да.
a bucket?
Весь мир ведро, и мы в нем ведра.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
Серьезно?
Here we go.
Серьезно? И сейчас нужно
What
будет...
happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket?
Боже, потрясающе.
God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not
Ничего
buckets.
чудесного.
Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets. Okay?
Да, пожалуйста.
And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go.
Да, было замечательно. Эх, ладно, одну концовку. Ого. Ого, это как-то связано с ведром.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it
То есть чего
mean?
тут по
Stanley
бумажке
decided to go to
раскиданы?
the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Интересно.
Stanley clutched the bucket
Ладно,
tightly to
это
his chest
скажу
and
тогда,
entered
это,
the
собственно,
door
в
and
Escape
left.
root. И закончу на сегодня.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more
Блин,
than
тут же
ever.
это... А, вот,
Perhaps
ладно.
his boss's office was where he'd find... Oh, Stanley. Can you feel
Давайте.
it? The broom
Постоим.
closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must
Боже
be,
мой.
given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is
Походу,
purely superficial
оратор
and convenient?
наговаривает на
That your
подсобку.
life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I'd never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket.
Да,
as they
рассказчик
have
уже
changed
дневник
and
Стэнли
evolved
читает.
over the years. Let him have it.
Эх.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Так, ладно,
Coming
escape
to a
room делаем.
staircase,
И...
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the
Да,
boss's
закончили сегодня.
office.
Эта дверь не открывается, кстати, она... Блин, я не помню, куда она вообще идет. А, тут лифт. А, давайте, кстати, лифт проверим. Может, лифт теперь будет куда-то идти. У нас все-таки ведро есть. Ну, наверное, не знаю, если час ждать или целые сутки, возможно, ты куда-нибудь приедешь.
Stepping into his manager's
Так,
office,
2,
Stanley was once
8,
again
4, 5.
stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Так, блин, вот. Где тут прыгать, конечно, нужно было. Интересно. То есть у меня такое чувство, будто мне действительно могли дать возможность прыжков, но я ее проебал. Или что-то другое было. Ну, то есть просто если... Как мне писали в чате.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket
Да,
would
мы
both
готовы
meet
для
a
этого.
violent death.
Ромео и Джульетта 21 века.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Джеронимо. Да. Вроде тут как-то можно будет выбраться, я точно не помню финал.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Нет, суки.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
А, это этот
It was
финал.
a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all
Финал
buckets
с
are
этим,
radiant in their own way, but this one
дневниками
stood above
разработчика.
the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Вы подошли к порогу настоящего знания. Как и само ведро, человеческий разум зачастую всего лишь пустой сосуд, но с помощью таких средств, как эта выставка, разум наполняется смыслом и познанием. Знание о ведре и его истории единственная непреложная истина в переменчивом мире. Возьмете ли вы с собой во внешний мир то, что узнаете здесь? Откроете ли разум тому, что может показаться сложным или даже невыносимым? Поменяете ли свою жизнь и жизни своих близких после этой выставки? Или отвернетесь и будете жить как прежде, в невежестве и темноте? Боже мой, они реально всю выставку ведру посвятили.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Это этот, как его, человек Леонардо да Винчи, или как называется? Ну, в общем, да. Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe или Stanley Parable 2 это Stanley Parable с ведром. Это гениально, конечно. О, боже мой. Историческая... Тут уже какой-то лор пошел, кстати, не только шутки. Как бы... Все это не пришло к какой-то кошмарной развязке. Так, а я вроде не пошел куда-то, там был другой ход. Сейчас проверю, а то мне действительно хочется узнать, что там с ведром. Лор. Вот сюда не ходил. Ведро антистресс. Ну, то есть реально, самый глубоко прописанный лор в игре — это ведро. Да, это история ведер в истории человечества. Да.
There is something we can do.
Это отлично было.
Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Вот суки, а. Так, вот этот труд вроде ни к чему не ведет. И то есть у меня сейчас все то же самое.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
Я не помню, где ведро было. А, вот, фу, я ж пересрался.
Stanley picked up the
Кто я без ведра?
He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Ладно, проверю новый контент с ведром и заканчиваю тогда. Я не знаю, наверное, к Стэнли уже не вернусь. Тут, в принципе, вот, наверное, смысл имеет играть с гайдом. Такое, ну, не особо, наверное, ложится на стрим. Даже какой-то тормознутый, как у меня. А дальше, блин, хер знает, что еще дальше играть. Ну, какой-то хоррор найду небольшой. Я сейчас хочу с ведром подойти к другому ведру. Кстати, классно, что эта наклейка, да, собственно, Стэнли, она осталась. Надеюсь, когда он подойдет к другому ведру, там и у них натурально любовный треугольник разыграется, да. И кто-то кого-то убьет в порыве ревности.
Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Вот ведро. Ну, не удивлюсь, кстати, если все-таки будет какая-то новая концовка. То есть у тебя будет два ведра сразу. Чё? Серьезно?
Wait, there are two buckets here. How did you get a second bucket? Oh no, the warmth and comfort of a single bucket is already so great, so intoxicatingly wonderful. With two buckets, there's no telling Stanley, can you still hear me? Are you with me? Stanley! Oh, thank God. I didn't lose you. Stanley, the power of 2 buckets was too much. I had to destroy both of them. I know how much the bucket
себе забрал,
meant to you,
сука.
but I couldn't take the risk. I hope one day you can forgive me.
Вот же тварь, вот же тварь. Завистник. Ах, ну ладно, что, да, было очень весело. Пойду смотреть, что там в доте происходит, в Counter-Strike, хотя, наверное, да, все уже проиграно. Ну ладно, да, всем большое спасибо, всем пока.